Hey there, and welcome to Living in Austin, Texas. My name is James Johnson. I'm a realtor with the Loan Realty Group at Coldwell Banker. We are going to go over the top 5 pros and cons of living here in Austin, Texas. Just want to give you really the ups and the downs, right? The good and the bad stuff. We want you to be informed whenever you're making this decision. Let's go ahead and dive right in. First on our list today, as the number 1 pro of living in Austin, Texas, is going to be great weather. And I'm going to go ahead and throw into parentheses and say most of the time. So really, whenever you get here, you'll understand that summer is, of course, a true Texas summer. But for the most part, Austin experiences pretty great weather year-round. The winters never get too brutally cold. And although the summer is pretty hot, the rest of the year is pretty comfortable, especially that early spring into the early summer, and then as well as kind of that late summer into the early fall. The weather typically stays in the 50s and 60s. And then, of course, as we get closer to summer, then we get to kind of the 70s and the 80s. But most of the time, it's going to be nice to go outside, to go play with the dog, go to the park, go take a hike on the trail, something like that. The weather most of the time is going to be pretty fair. So that's something that we really love here, right? I mean, I love taking my dog on a walk. You know, me and my girlfriend go walk around the neighborhood. Most of the time we have a great time. It's not too hot. Again, be careful for those Texas summers because they are no joke. But overall, I would say that Austin definitely has great weather. Jumping right into the top of the cons on our list, we are going to talk about everyone's favorite thing on the planet, traffic. Now, if you're from Los Angeles or New York City, you may say, there's no traffic that can beat our traffic. But go ahead and get here first before you give us that judgment, because definitely traffic is going to be something that you deal with every single day, and it's something that is unavoidable. Now, especially if you're coming from a small town or somewhere that's rural and you're coming to this big city, please be prepared because traffic is no joke. Now, there are definitely some areas and times whenever you really want to try to avoid, especially I-35 going through downtown, lower Mopac, which is our highway along the west side of Austin. There's definitely some areas, especially in those peak times, between 7:30 and 9:30 and 3:30 and 5:30, where you really want to try to avoid at all costs, or at least be going in the opposite direction of the flow of traffic, because again, right, that traffic can really get out of control. And at the end of the day, the more time you spend in traffic is less time you can spend working or with your family or with your friends. So do your best to manage that traffic if you at all can, but please be aware, if you are going to be here in Austin, traffic is going to be something that you cannot avoid. Jumping right into our second pro on our list today, we are going to talk about green spaces and green belts. Austin is definitely well known for having tons of green belts and nature trails scattered all across the city and all parts of the city. So whether you're on the east side, the west side, north side, south, wherever you are, you're likely not more than 5 or 10 minutes to a great nature trail, or even just, a green belt at the back of a neighborhood. Be careful, you take a wrong left turn, it could lead you down a trailhead, and it's likely one that you've never seen before, but that's something that we really love here in Austin. That's really a positive attribute of Austin, because at the end of the day, you get to get outside, you get to get out in nature, you get to be with the animals, hear the birds sing, all kinds of stuff like that, right? Being outside in nature is a big deal for a lot of folks. So if that's something that you love, know that coming to Austin, you're really going to have the opportunity. Like I said, you could be going down a random street, take a left turn, before you know it, you're at a trailhead, and you can hop out and grab your bottle of water, and you got a next 3-4 hours of time that you can go and explore and walk along the trail. So definitely, if you love to be outdoors, love to be with nature, Austin's going to be a great place to do that, because again, there's tons of green spaces and lots of green belts all the way around. Some notable ones, of course, Barton Creek Green Belt. We also have Zilker Park, which is just a giant city park. We have another Avery Ranch and Brushy Creek. There's a San Gabriel, right? Tons of rivers that flow in and around Austin, and all of those bring their own green spaces that are all open to explore. So if you do so, please be careful. Have a good time. Number 2 on our cons list today is the homeless population, or disenfranchised, however you want to call it. Being a large city and large metropolitan, there are always tons and tons of people who come here, and unfortunately some of those folks do not land on their feet. Either they catch a bad string of luck or they get in trouble in some form or fashion, right? But there's definitely no shortage of homeless folks. So please, take that into consideration whenever you're looking at different areas to live. Some areas are better than others, and there's just a lot to consider consider whenever you're picking an area that you really want to live in. Are there tents on the sidewalks, garbage strung everywhere, right? Those are all kind of signs there is a, somewhat active homeless population in the area. So it's definitely something that you want to consider. A lot of people would rather not live around it. So if that's your thing, just be careful whenever you're coming to Austin. Make sure you drive around that area, take different roads just to make sure that it's safe and that there's nobody going to be, trying to pitch a tent in your backyard or take a shower at your water hose. So topping out number 3 on our pro list, we have live music. So Austin is world famously known to be the live music capital of the world, and it surely doesn't disappoint. I personally have 2 friends who are in the music industry. One group of them is in a band, little grungy rock band, right? And then I have another friend who's an up-and-coming house DJ. And so there's really no shortage of venues and events and shows. It could be a Tuesday night at a corner bar, shopping center, and there's gonna be live music playing, whether it's country or rock and roll, and hip hop, dance, EDM, whatever suits your fancy. There's definitely gonna be a place where you can hear that music, and most of the time it's gonna be a live performer. And that's something that a lot of people love about Austin, right? We're famously known for it. Of course, 6th Street, South by Southwest, right? There's just tons of live music in the city. So if that's something that you're really looking for and you love to be a part of the music industry, or you love to be around, just live music in general, go out and have a nice glass of wine, listen to some jazz, right? Whatever it is, whatever kind of music that you gravitate towards I can guarantee you there's a random bar on a Wednesday night that has somebody live, and I promise you they're gonna blow you away. So if you want some live music, come out to Austin and experience it for yourself. Coming in at number 3 on our cons list for today, we are going to talk about some crime. Fortunately, it's something that nobody ever likes to be a part of or likes to be involved in, but unfortunately, living in a city as large as this, there are people who are in desperate situations, and a lot of times that comes with crime. Of course, there are going to be areas that have more or less crime, so it's definitely something to take into account whenever you're picking the right place to live. Most of the time, people that you interact with are not going to be trying to do you harm, but definitely cannot go without saying, always, watch your surroundings. Always be vigilant of where you are, because with so many people here, there's a lot of variables, and the last thing that we want with anybody is to get in a situation where somebody could be caused harm. Depending on where you are, depending on what time of day it is, what area of town that you are in, the crime can be better or worse. So really, just be careful anywhere that you go. Always be watching your surroundings. Obviously, enjoy yourself and have a good time. There are definitely going to be places where you don't run into it. But as you get more familiar with Austin, you'll find that there are places that might be just a little bit better to avoid. Who doesn't love professional sports? That's right, if you're here in Austin, Texas, you get the chance to cheer for none other than the Austin FC. Rounding out our pro number 4, we're going to have professional sports available here in Austin, Texas. Like I said, the Austin FC, it's a MLS franchise that is up and coming. They have a beautiful home stadium known as Q2, just outside of the Domain. And with that, it's quickly becoming a household name here in Austin, Texas, and across the MLS. Being coupled with a little bit of early success, the MLS has really made a name for themselves. We have some great strikers on the team, some people that really bring the fire and the energy, and that's always great to have in a professional sports team, right? You want to be able to compete. You don't want to be somebody like the Cleveland Browns, right, where you're just constantly on the losing end of stuff, right? It's good to cheer for a team that wins, but at the end of the day, it's good to have a sense of community, right? And Austin FC has really brought in that community feel, especially in sports, which so many people love, right? It's really brought together all kinds of different walks of life, and the diversity in the fan base is amazing to see, right? I mean, Austin's a very diverse place, and everybody really comes together to cheer for that pro sports team. So whether you're driving around, going to work, or going out to eat, the chances of you seeing that verde green are very high. So go Austin FC. Hey there, coming in for our number 4 con of living in Austin, Texas, we're going to talk about commute time or drive time. I know this sounds a little bit like traffic, but I promise it's definitely worth taking into its own consideration. Whether you are going 1 mile or 5 miles, please understand that it's going to take you longer than 15 minutes to get there. I don't know why. Some people call it unnecessary, or where does these people even come from? But definitely it's something that was an adjustment for me, right? I come from a small town. You can get from one side to the other in 15, 20 minutes, right? And you can't even get from your house to the grocery store in less than 20 minutes these days. Definitely something to take in consideration, right? They always say if you're 15 minutes, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. Well, please abide by, if you're 30 minutes, you're on time. If you're 15 minutes, you're late, because more than likely you're going to find traffic somewhere. You're going to get stuck at a light. Somebody's going to be a bad driver that day. So really just take into consideration whenever you are driving around to and from work or to and from an event, right? There's going to be some drive time, and it is never in a hurry. Traffic is never in a hurry in this city. It's something that you'll figure out soon enough. Coming up on number 5 And rounding up the top 5 pros of living in Austin, Texas, we have community or a sense of morale. This was something that was personally a huge surprise for me. You know, I come from a small town where it's pretty close, tight-knit people and lots of families and lots of generations that live there. Definitely moving into a big city, I did not expect to feel that community kind of connectedness, right? But living in Austin, Texas, it's very easy to experience. You go out to a neighborhood bar, go to an outdoor place where everybody has food trucks and live music playing, right? There's just an overall sense of community and connectiveness that's really just hard to put into words. Whether you're out on the street, you know, 6th Street, going out to the clubs at night, or you're at Zilker Park, you know, with the dogs or with some friends playing football. Majority of the time, if you meet a random person that you never met before, it's going to be a positive interaction because people here, you know, have a sense of community. And, you know, with that, we all feel connected. We all look out for each other. Neighbors pick up each other's trash, pick up the trash cans, whatever it may be, right? People take care of each other. And that's something that I really appreciate living here in Austin. Even though it's a big city, still feels like a good community, still feels like a lot of connectiveness. And that's something to not take for granted. Well, we are rounding out our top 5 pros and cons, and so number 5 on our cons list is just going to be the probability of an influx of population, right? If you're reading or if you're watching this video, you're likely a con, same as myself, right? I'm a newcomer here. I've only been here for about 5 years now, and with Austin being such a growing and hustling and bustling city, more and more industries come here, more and more companies are moving headquarters here. So the chances of new people following you and following in our footsteps are just going to be very high. If that's not something that you really want to be a part of, we totally understand, right? But understand that we always welcome folks with open arms. Just remember to keep in mind, right? People love to be here. People are going to constantly be moving here. You're not really wanting to be in a place where it's going to have a lot of folks around you. Austin, Texas may not be the best place for you, or maybe a smaller town on the outsides of the metro would be a little bit better. But always keep in mind, right, there's going to be a lot of industries that are going to be here and growing between tech and service and manufacturing, right? Lots of people will still continue to come into the city. And again, right, we welcome with open arms, but it's just definitely something to keep in mind. Well, you made it through. Thank you so much for sticking around for our top 5 pros and cons of living in Austin, Texas. Hope it didn't scare you too much. I promise we really do open our arms wide open, right? We welcome you with open arms. It's a great city to be a part of. It's a great city to experience. And, you know, we have projections for tons of growth, and I'm happy to be a part of that, right? That's why I'm in the industry that I am, to help people like you move here, start a life, start a new chapter, whatever it may be. That's something to just take into consideration. Definitely, if you want to make that next step, or you want to take that step in your home buying process or in that moving process, we will be here to help you. Of course, below the video, we will have phone, email, text, DM, social media, comment on the channel, whatever it is, right? If you're looking for help and, you know, want to kind of sift through all the different pros and the cons of where you want to live, right? Here at the Lone Wolf Realty Group, we pride ourselves in helping folks make that transition. So if it's something that you want to take the next step on, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next time.